Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Today we are going to talk about how to automate Gutenberg block development in WordPress project. That's why I decided to invite a person um, who is much more smarter than me when it comes to Gutenberg development. It's Greg Ziłkowski with me. Greg, tell us a few words about yourself.
Hello, so my name is Grzegorz Ziłkowski. I live in Poland, like Maciek, so that's why our names are a little bit problematic to pronounce. I work at Automatic, and my company sponsors my time to spend all of that contributing to WordPress core. And I started contributing to WordPress and the Gutenberg project almost 5 years ago. So I have a little bit of experience with blog development. Also, this is my favorite area of this whole project. So I'm really glad to be here and talking about this topic.
And my name is Maciek Palmowski. I work here at Buddy as a WordPress ambassador, and I'm also a regular webinar host. So, uh, before we go any further, let's see what we'll learn today. So, first of all, we will learn a bit on how to start with WordPress blog development. Then we'll go to how to leverage all those cool JavaScript tools when it comes to blog development. And in the end, we'll think a bit about how to automate everything and how to use Buddy to in our CI/CD pipelines. Uh, Before we'll go any deeper, if you have any questions, just use comments on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. It depends when you are watching us. And if you like our work, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because you will be informed of any upcoming webinar and you will have a chance to watch all the other webinars we did. So, Greg, let's start with the most important question. What is Gutenberg and why should developers care about it and learning how to develop things for it?
Yeah, so WordPress introduced it like 3 years ago a new editing paradigm that is based on blocks. Blocks is you can think about them as small apps. You see on the screen the page that's being edited using this concept. So you can think of the block as a unit that is interactive, can be edited, and has the same representation, almost identical representation on the front end. So in this case, as you can see on the right side, someone is editing a header, and you can pinpoint to any parts of that block. This is a site logo, so this type of paragraph, and it's a great way for users to narrow down the experience so they can think only about isolated parts. But it's also a great thing for developers because WordPress by default is extensible, which means you can build your own blocks, which extends the experience and they integrate nicely. You can think about all that like a set of Lego blocks. So you can compose them. You can create there is this concept of patterns in here, which allows you to insert a predefined set of blocks that user only needs to modify. So it's it's a culmination of several projects that allow gives user the power to edit full site without needing to call an agency, a developer, or the designer. They have a gallery of patterns that they can be provided with the theme that or a design that you get with the site. But you can also go to the WordPress blog patterns directory and get one of those patterns you see now and copy it to your website, which is for me it's mind-blowing, so advanced things that you get for free. And it's something that you can modify yourself and also export that as your own pattern or save in the database as a usable block. So that means you have this modified version and you can just easily share that between different pages while user edit the experience.
Yes, that is true. So we can say that thanks to Gutenberg, we won't have to install any other page builder, and we won't have to worry about being locked in some plugin, because thanks to Gutenberg, we also, as you mentioned, we can move our code from WordPress to WordPress, and it will work just like this. So this is something really great. And Greg, tell me. How we can create blocks, because there are quite a few ways. There isn't just one and only way to do so.
Yeah, so I already mentioned some of those ways, so let me highlight them. So one thing that is whenever you edit your website and you have some like design, but you find them online, you can even copy that, like patterns you can copy, because it's an HTML code after all. And so you can modify that, and you can just save that and share between your other website if you are working for several clients. So that's one way. The other way is just to build a custom block. So for instance, you want to have on the contact page, you need to show a map with the location for the business, and you won't find this type of blocks in the vanilla install of WordPress, but you can create your own. So WordPress provides a set of development tools that help with that. So instead of going through the documentation, which is it's fine when you know what you are doing, but when you are exploring, it's like great to have tools that help you. So that's the only command you need to run, and you just set up your project with all the code for the WordPress plugin, which is a way to create a block or multiple blocks in one plugin. So that's a general way how you extend the functionality of WordPress. And so when you run that command, it installs the script and it just starts the process. So it creates a folder, creates a block.json file, which is like a schema for how the block should look like. It creates a package.json, which is like, if someone is familiar with Node.js development, it's a way to provide details about dependencies and provide the list of scripts that you can run. And this WordPress script package that you can see right now that's being installed is another tool that integrates everything, and it provides a set of options it provides you so scripts provides you a ways to run those commands that you see now on the screen, because the project is already scaffolded, which means that we have a live demo folder, and inside you will have npm start that starts the build development. Build is something for production. There is code formatting, linking, and there is more, but it's it's here. It's just highlighted the most important one. But what we wanted to show you today is something more advanced, because we paired with Maciek and we created a special template that integrates with this create block tool that provides scaffolds a project that integrates with Buddy, and Maciek will later show you what fantastic things you can do with that. But for now, let me present, because the first version for scaffolding wasn't interactive. So, it's like for the demo purposes, it's great, but you want to have control over what you're creating, because you probably want to create different things. So this goes through the whole process, ask you several questions to help you modify all the details. So for the block, you need to have some type of identification. So it provides some defaults, and that is Maciek responsible for that, who just type that in the template. But you can change that if you don't like Gutenberg. You can do something else. So the internal namespace is something like, like name of your company, or like I'm using GZIO, which is my nickname that I use on GitHub, Twitter, and so on. And so, you can change the display title for your blog that then you will be using to discover, user will use that to discover the blog. And there's a short description. There's a lot of things like icon, some visuals, a category that you can assign that. And there's more. Also, for the WordPress plugin, you can, change a lot of things which we don't care about today. But,
because what's important, the moment when we create block, it also creates a plugin which consists of this block. So
yeah,
this is also the thing that if you are starting your adventure with using a create block, you don't have to worry about creating a plugin that will install this block. It's everything packed in one.
Yes. So as you can see now, it was faster because I had npm packages cached locally. And so, it's like the project is created. And now let me switch maybe to the project that I started a bit earlier, just to explain all the ideas, the thing that Maciek mentioned about the project. So let me show. It's like for every WordPress plugin, you need to have an entry point, which is a PHP file, and it has all those metadata, which isn't that important today, but I'm just explaining the concept. And the only thing is registering the block type, which points to the folder when it can look for the special files. And we are using here in this project a tool called WordPress scripts. And the thing is that that's the dependency that installs that, and it exposes several scripts that you could see on the console after the, documentation sort of thing after the scaffolding process finishes. And this is also documented on npm when you go to the WordPress, find WordPress scripts package, and all the commands are explained in a very detailed way. You can also find that on the developers WordPress org portal for the blog directory. And the build, of course, it builds all the thing. And so what happens in the src folder, we have our source files, and they get for the production you need to minify files and so on. So here, it doesn't make any sense when you are browsing that, but it's perfect for the users because they have the minimal version. But in here we have human readable code that we use when we work with JavaScript, and it's quite popular pattern to import also CSS file. It doesn't mean that it's included inside JavaScript, because we use behind the scene tools like Webpack, which just orchestrates everything and puts them into style files. And yeah, in general, there is some way which register blocks and shows the references to other files. And what's important here is this blog.json file, which was generated based on the input from the field. So you can see the title, Buddy webinar. This is my nickname I used. So in here, this is the nickname I used. And what else? The icon and text, that was also the thing that were provided by default. But you could change that. Or the text domain, which is usually the same name as the project name in WordPress space. And yeah, enough talking about code. Let's see
if it works, because it looks nice. It looks nice. That's true. But
before that, let me show you a few tricks, because I have Visual Studio Code and I have some nice integration. So here we have prettier tool that just a way to you need to have this file so the Visual Studio Code could find your specific project configuration for code formatting. And also we have ESLint, which is the same, but it's linking your JavaScript code, so it helps you to find some bugs. And now let's go to edit.js files and let's try to break some. And see, for instance, let's write something like that. In general, it should work, but something goes wrong. Definitely, you could see a change, because if I go back, this is prettier integration. So what it does, it just formats your code according to the styling that is provided in this prettier JS file. So even if I go here and like start doing something strange and like this, it's like it just ensures that you always have the same way of styling code. So it's great when you have team of developers, designers, and so on. So you always have the same look and feel for the code. And
of course, the only problem is you have to have prettier configured in your IDE, which isn't something. I mean, the developer can not configure it for some way. So that's why the CI/CD is also handy in the later in the later part, because there is no escape from it.
Yeah, that's true. And also you can run the same command. And let me just ensure that I'm in the proper folder. Yes. So you can also do npm run format from the project, and we just run the same magic. As you could see, like all the files got formatted. It's hard to show now that it works, because obviously whenever I change something in here, it will format, and maybe I would have to do something like use vim and break something this way. So if I go up, you see it changed, and now, boom, it's fixed. And the other tools that we want to present is linting. So, no, it's a wrong name. Let me check quickly.
It was lint CSS and lint.js, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think we should add also a lint command which will run both lint style and lint.js.
Yeah, something went wrong. I don't know. But Maciek has everything covered in his example, so no worries. You will see soon how it works in action. It's a live demo, so it worked before, right, Maciek? You saw it.
Yes, of course. I mean, this is but this shows how lint works, because it checks if the code is correct, and probably at some point during configuration or when you saved something, something just changed, and lint found the problem, which is natural, because. Or on the other hand, this is NPM. Everything changes from minute to minute, and if something worked 5 minutes ago after some update, it can break.
Yeah.
So this is the sad part about the NPM ecosystem. But the good thing I want to tell you that we will have some more NPM jokes coming soon. So don't worry.
So getting back. So the other thing is that you usually really need is a building. And I have this, let's show now that in the editor. So just to explain what's happened. So I have this Buddy webinar plugin installed, and it was activated before, so I could show you how it works like. And in here, so this is the WordPress block editor, and this is the inserter, and here I can look for the blocks. So this one we created is called Buddy Webinar, and it looks like the preview looks like this. When I insert that, you see I got input field that allows you to write something. Let's do a plug for my company, Automatic. And it's like you can type something, you can do different things like move this block. We could like group that, which means that it's now you can do some nice things like add some padding. What else? You can do some different background color. It's like those type of things. So it integrates nicely with other blocks. but at the same time, it gives you some options here. You can also drag and drop that in a different place. So like you got a lot of things for free because it's just like fits greatly, and it wasn't that much code. Like if we go back to the editor, so edit, which is responsible for that, and this code.
It's just one
It's just
div
that.
and text control.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
exactly.
the API is a huge one, but I'm just presenting like the very bare bone thing already is so much powerful, and yeah, I think that's nice. Well, did we wanted to cover something here? It's like I was talking for so long.
No, I think that that you show exactly.
Oh, yeah. One thing I want to
show. And yes, show how it looks
yeah.
on the front
So
end.
this
Yes,
is
of course.
this is how it looked before all the edits. Let's update and let's refresh. You see, like
it looks exactly how
the same, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just I could just move it back to show you how it could look better, because that was the original thing before I started tweaking everything to show that.
Yeah, this is the example why we as developers shouldn't have access to any styling or anything that is connected with how website looks, because let's be honest, the whole internet would be ugly. That is so. As you already mentioned, now it's time to show some magic that is connected with Buddy. So now it's my turn to take over the screen. So as you saw, when Greg was creating his blog, he used a template called WP. Buddy WP blog directory template. Quite a long name, but I think it's quite descriptive. And so, thanks to this template, we will be able not only to create blog, but this template has one magical thing: this buddy.yaml file. This means that the moment when we will create a plugin using this template, and we will connect it with Buddy, we will already get some pipelines out of the box, and we won't need to configure anything. So let's do it. This is my
so I guess
Buddy account.
The only requirement is that what I showed before is that you create a project locally. You would still need to init your GitHub Git repository and send that to GitHub. Yeah, that I think that's
to GitHub, to
important.
GitLab, to whatever Git repository you like. But to be honest, I'm a big GitHub fan myself. So I created such a plugin. It's called Buddy Block. And let's see what will happen. It's importing, and as you see, we already have two pipelines created out of the box. One is called build and release, and it will build and release our plugin. It will create a zip file inside of our Buddy file system. And the second one is called lint. So this is something for those developers who didn't install Prettier or any JavaScript sniffer. So if they will try to push some code with and their code was, let's call it, a bit lower quality, then for sure this lint will run and point some errors out. So let's break something, right? Because we as developers are constantly breaking stuff. So we are going to create a pull request, because this lint pipeline will run every time we will create a new a new branch, or change something in any branch. So let's go into the edit.js file. Let's click edit. Okay, the good news is that GitHub didn't broke, because lately GitHub had some issues, and once when we were doing a dry run in the middle of it, it just broke. So let's add variable x and assign the string called test to it. And let's create a new branch.
So just to explain, I was supposed to show that the link which should show two errors. One of them is that the variable is not used in the context of the file. So it's a hint for the developer that they can remove that variable. And the other one is that var as a keyword is not the preferred one because JavaScript has now
let or const. Yeah. And now, as you see, we got that all texts have failed, which is true because we broke it on purpose. And we
I just hope it's not the same error I had, because that would be also very
let's see. So let's check out in the runs what happened, and we see in the log that error unexpected var use let or const instead, and error x is assigned a value but never used. So these were the things that you mentioned that that should appear in your case, but for some reason
all good
didn't.
exactly
all good, exactly.
Also,
exactly.
if you can show the error message, there is also a hint, because some of those errors are fixable, which means that you can run this command and it would fix the issue about using var, and we replace that with const.
Exactly. Yeah, and another thing. So because this fix is all, this error is only on this Palmiak patch number 1, but the master branch, because the build and release is connected with the master branch, should work correctly. So let's try to create a zip file of our plugin, right? So it will
just
run.
To explain, because I didn't show that because that was easier for this. But to explain, one of ways to installing a WordPress plugin is by uploading a zip file with all the files required for the plugin, and Maciek is now creating this type of zip file using npm run plugin zip command that is also included with WordPress scripts that is installed in the project.
So the good news is that it went quite quickly. I mean, we thought that will take a bit longer because we know that npm takes time to load, and especially for the first time. That's why we had a few jokes about npm downloading like half of the internet and stuff like this. But
and the other one is Netflix.
Yeah, but this time everything went quite quickly because Buddy really tried to cache as many things as possible in the background. So thanks to this, it only took like half a minute. And as we can see, it's done. Buddy webinar blog zip is ready. So if you will go to your file system, you can see this zip file. You can download it. You can and you can install it, or you can start editing your pipelines and create something more. So for example, the moment when the zip file is released, you want to upload it to some website or whatever you want. It's really up to you now. Like the sky is the limit, as they say.
Yeah, I think if you have WP-CLI, which is another tool that's helpful for people that use WordPress, you could just bundle that together and use this URL with the zip file and just install the plugin from the command line.
Or we did such a thing some time ago with Andy Fragan. You can connect Git Updater to use Git Updater for updating. So you would just create a GitHub release that would upload the new released version into GitHub, and after this, all the websites that would be using it and having Git Updater installed would see that there is a new version, and you could just update it. So like I said, sky is the limit. It's really up to you from this point what you will do. So I hope that we will continue to develop more and more about this this template for creating blocks. So if you have some ideas how we can change it, what options can we add, then we are really open to do it. Or of course, if you want to start your Gutenberg adventure, just create a pull request. This is a perfect way to start your adventure with open source.
Yeah, I definitely have some ideas how you can improve that because I know all the commands. So one things we didn't mention is, just to not cover too many examples that would distract from the main topic, which is to automate everything, to have this instant feedback about the quality of code. So definitely unit test and end-to-end test is one of the examples how that could improve. So there is also a command that runs test. It uses Jest behind the scenes, which is a testing framework. So it's as easy as creating a file that ends with .test.js or inside the test folder, and you just detect that, you run that, integrate the same way how linting is integrated with the Buddy pipeline, and you have verification every time someone comments. The other thing is end-to-end test, which is more complex because you would need a test website to run that. But end-to-end tests, as of today, they use the Puppeteer framework that is just a nice wrapper on the Google Developer Tools. And it just orchestrates all the tests. So it has even interactive mode for development when you can just see all the clicks and interactions, typing in the browser, happening live. And that's so powerful when you have more complex applications and you can just, code all the most important flows and ensure that if you build a block, that it all inserts correctly. You can edit that with all the options you would build and so
on. Okay, so I think so. Everyone, if someone is interested in doing a pull request for something like this, Greg just gave you a lot of examples, and I can tell you that creating end-to-end tests on Buddy would be. It would be possible. It's quite easy to connect such a thing. We have sandboxes or maybe services. There are many ways we can do it. So really, this is a really perfect adventure to start. The perfect way to start your adventure with open source. So I think that we covered everything, right, Greg? We showed how. First of all, what is Gutenberg? Just to make sure that everyone was on the same page. Then we showed how to create a new block and how simple it can be because it's just the one command. And on the other hand, we showed that there is this template option which gives you access to lots and lots of power because you can create your basic template based on which you will create more and more blocks on that you want with some additional tests or other functionality. And I think that, and of course, in the end, we showed how to connect everything with Buddy. So before we go into the Q&A section, if you still have some questions, there is still time to ask them using the comments. And we at the start of the of this webinar, we launched a poll on YouTube and we asked, "Are you building custom blocks?" And 71% of you said yes, we are.
Wow.
So
that's
29 yeah. But now it's a question. Are those 29 just using patterns and they are just connecting everything that is already built in, or are they just using the core blocks? So we we don't know, but maybe someone will tell us in the comments. From what I see at this moment, I have only one question, and this is really a great question for you. Is there a chance of earning a living if I dive deep into Gutenberg block development?
So definitely
Greg,
there is. I'm a good example of that. So it's like I work full time on Gutenberg, which is the block editor. But that's that's a joke, of course. I think that's a good opportunity for the future, because as WordPress matures, in general, the block concept is also popular in other areas in the industry, and everyone is thinking in the same paradigms, because it's just so good for users, because they can like focus on one thing at a time when they are using this block. So I think it's universal in general, similar like this design patterns is also for designers way of thinking about everything these days. And I believe personally that block patterns are powerful and they allow to build great designs. However, the challenge is that we as we have so many ideas for websites, and they need a lot of interactivity. Like even building a store is like there's so many things you would need, like cart, checkout. It's like and all that is, you cannot do that with static blocks that just I presented that you just type. You need to connections with database, so you need definitely to create some abstractions that allow to connect with the server and interact with that. So I think because the block themes, it's a new concept. The release was this January, so it's something that is still getting up to speed in the WordPress community. So I think the need for custom blocks will be growing. There is also a blog directory that probably has over 100 blocks at the moment, which extend the editor. And there are also plugins, some of them very successful, that
and some of them are premium. Then some of them are premium. So this is also important. So if you want to earn money, yes, there is money in this.
Yes. And also with the tool I presented, Create Block, we are working on support for multiple blocks, so that would allow you to create this type of plugins that provide a certain familiar blocks. Like imagine you have a to-do block, and that would need a parent block like a wrapper that orchestrates everything, and to-do item blocks. So there is this concept of a relation between blocks. And so for complex things like to-do app, it's not something you can easily do. It's like you need to have some awareness of the state that those blocks have. So the to-do list knows about all the items and the states, like checked, or you would like to remove that. So I think that there's a lot of great opportunities for developers. It's at the moment, it's most of the work is focused on the design aspects, because it's where it shines at the moment. But I think in the future we need more interactivity.
Yeah, I think that interactivity, and on the other hand, because the thing that I personally love about Gutenberg and hate at the same time is the thing that really sky is the limit. You can create everything. You can either create such a simple block as we did, or you can create a Winamp player or a piano keyboard. There are really blocks for this. You can see there are Winamp and piano keyboard blocks, and they are working. And the problem is that with all this freedom, at some point we will see some problems when it comes to user experience. We will have to think about making everything work in the same way. So we won't feel the difference between different block packs or something when, for example, in one, when you want to upload an image, you will have to press a button in the sidebar, and the second one you will have to drag and drop it. So for sure, there is a long way when it comes to Gutenberg. So jumping on this train can be a really great decision, and not only when it comes just to how WordPress will grow, but also money-wise, because for sure Gutenberg will start taking over more and more page builder market, and probably at some point the more and more money will go into Gutenberg, because people will be buying premium plugins, premium block packs, or whatever the future will bring, because we are in the middle of the second and third phase of Gutenberg, right? And who knows what will happen in the future. I mean, I won't be surprised if at some point we will see, I don't know, virtual reality Gutenberg mode or something. Who knows?
Oh, there is blog for that already.
Oh yeah, so sky is the limit, right?
Yeah, definitely. And also, I personally think that it's really fun to explore like how to integrate this like very well established patterns on websites. Like this weekend, I participated in the CloudFest hackathon, and we created a plugin that contains 7 or 8 interactive blocks like accordion, carousel, gallery lightbox, the sidebar that when you click on the button, just there's a fly out sidebar. So it's like if you have libraries that do that, you can easily integrate them, and this is so much fun to see the results of. And then user, the only thing they need to do is just pick this block you have created, spend some time on it, and you just by using the concept of those inner blocks that you can inject inside, they can like build so amazing websites. That's that's very much what I love about that.
Oh, and we have one more question from Wale. My question is, would you consider going deeper into blog development, or which resources would you recommend to learn from top to bottom?
From top to bottom. So it's like depends how you like to approach things. If you like to learn about everything first, or like me, go and just try scaffold this block and try play with this. So edit some lines of code, see what it leads you. At some point, you definitely need to have JavaScript skills. I wouldn't say that you need to be an expert, but as soon as you reach on the editor, you need to know React to do some interactivity, like work with the state of the block if you want to change some interactions, or like this example when you could do the input. There is a component for that which you need to find in the documentation. And so one thing that is definitely useful for the create block or the WordPress scripts, which are the tools we presented, is they are both hosted on NPM in the biggest package repository on the world. And when you find them, they have an extensive documentation how they work, but it's just for development. But for using those tools. But there is also developer.wordpress.org/blog-editor. And when you visit that page, it has a lot of materials. It might be overwhelming, so probably using a search is a good thing. There's also a tutorial that is covering more or less what we presented, and just walks you step by step for building a very similar blog that we presented with Maciek, that integrated with the editor. So yeah, I think that tutorial would be the first step I would go to. We'll share the links on YouTube probably. Right, Maciek, I don't know how we do it usually, because I'm talking now and
because there are so many resources. I mean, I think it would be also a good way to first of all, the way how you want to develop in the Gutenberg work may differ, because if you are more interested in, for example, full site editing, uh, Caroline has a great website on full site editing. Also, Birgit's Gutenberg Hub is also a great resource for finding anything that is happening in the Gutenberg world. And for sure, you will find also some tutorials. And and who was this guy who's having those great Twitch streams about Gutenberg? Ryan?
Ryan Welcher.
Yes, Ryan Welcher has those really magnificent streams on Twitch about Gutenberg. You can also learn a lot. So, but still, the first thing, learn JavaScript deeply. This is the thing, because
Well,
without it,
it's like, I think it's good to learn JavaScript, but you don't need to have a very deep knowledge, because some of the things will just pop up as you go, and you can there's so many great documentations for JavaScript. Like one of them, Mozilla has the portal MDN that just have everything covered for HTML, even the versions of browser that support given features. So it's very extensive. There are also great courses for learning JavaScript. The same for React and for everything. But I wouldn't start from that. I would start just do something in the editor.
oh yes,
and,
that's true.
Feel the vibe and just break some things and then learn out of that. Because this is what always was the most exciting about WordPress, that you could start very quickly with development and see how it goes. Of course, the tools that we use these days, they help, but they also create this this barrier of entry. And understand that, but that's why we are doing this webinar, why we have all those tutorials, just to ease out that. And also this template is also great, because you get a project, a professional project, which teams can use, and you get it in 5 minutes, maybe, I don't know, depends how long the npm packages and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we got everything covered. So the last thing I want to mention is, in 2 weeks we will have another webinar about WordPress. This time we will have Kevin Fudness and Ben Bolton both from Ali, and we will talk how to automate continuous integration checks for pull requests. So in general, we will talk a lot about testing WordPress plugins and themes from very different points of view. So this will be something really, really interesting. Also, remember to join our Buddy CI CD group on Meetup. You will be informed about what is happening when it comes to new events. And the last thing is, subscribe to our YouTube channels. If you like our work, you will also have a great chance to watch other webinars and other videos we created about continuous integration and continuous deployment or development. So
maybe one thing, as you are inviting everyone, also
okay.
The WordPress project is open source, and we welcome everyone to contribute. So one way of finding out is go to make.wordpress.org/core if you want to contribute to core and see, or just be around and know what's happening in WordPress world. The other thing is on GitHub. There is WordPress/Gutenberg is the project for the block editor when the active development happen, and you can also go there and try the latest version, try to build it. That's also one way of learn how the blocks in the core are developed and learn about the workflows. Also, you can check the very complex CI integration that is based on GitHub Actions that's there. This is also a great way for some, finding some ideas how you can set up your project and take it to the next level.
Exactly. Yes, I also invite everyone to the WordPress project, because It's really great. It's just great. I mean, I'm also a core contributor, and I really like to spend some time just helping others. It's a really great feeling. And a great way to learn something new. So with this, I want to thank you all. Thank you, Greg, for helping explain how the create block works and what Gutenberg is. And see you in 2 weeks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.